Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to learn about Horwitz Bishops.
Hello everyone! So today we're gonna watch a very interesting game that was played between the second world chess champion Emanuel Lasker and Hermann Bauer. And yes, as Tara said before, it's a nice example of Horwitz Bishops. So we can start. In this game, Lasker played white. So f4, d5. It looks like some unusual position, yeah, so nice openings. The name of this opening is bird opening. Yeah.
For beginners, it's not very good to move the pawn to f4 because it could create a weakness to your king. But if you know how to play with f4, then it might be good.
Yeah. Okay, so in this position, Lasker played e3. So knight f6, b3, e6. Yeah, so of course, if we play b3, we want to develop the bishop to this diagonal. Bishop b2, bishop e7. So yeah, probably in most of the games, you can see that chess players try to develop the king side first. Yeah, so but in this position, Lasker decided to start with the queen side first. Yeah, so
And the
very strong
reason
bishop.
And the reason we might want to develop our king side first is because that might be the side that we want to castle. We want to get our king safe because in the middle, the king, it might not be that safe, and the king needs protection.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so probably it's also possible to play knight f3 in this position, but Lasker decided first to develop the light square bishop. And it's quite challenging to find the best position for the bishop. Yeah, so let's think where we can develop it. We can play bishop e2, yeah, but it looks like not an active position for the bishop, not the best diagonal that it can control. We can play bishop b5 to make a check. It's probably a common mistake for beginners when you want to make a check, but you don't think how your opponent can answer. So I think that even if black just plays bishop d7 or even c6 and attacks the bishop, we have to spend our time. We have to move back, yeah, or to trade bishops. And in situation like this, we just help our opponent to develop. Yeah, so we moved the bishop twice, but we helped black to develop the knight, so not the
And it
best
isn't very
plan.
good to move a piece twice in the opening unless you have a special reason.
Yeah, of course, you're right. Yeah, so probably if it's not bishop e2, if it's not bishop b5, so where else can we develop the bishop? It's a very interesting move, bishop d3. So usually you could hear before that we don't have to block our central pawns, right? But in this position, it's maybe exception to the rules. So in this opening, in this position, bishop on d3 has the best position it can get. For white, probably it's not the best plan to play d4, yeah, because we don't want to block the dark square bishop. And I don't think that it's so important to have a pawn on d3. That's why when the bishop gets to d3 and block the d2 pawn, it's not a problem at all. So it's more important to put the bishop on a good position than to move this pawn.
And it's important to see the best places where you can put your pieces. So instead of playing d4, when we played bishop to d3, it was better.
Yeah. So don't forget that chess is a game where there are a lot of exceptions to the rules. Yeah. And even if you heard before that you don't have to block your pawns at the center, so in this game it's a good way to improve position of the pieces. Yeah. So now Lasker has two strong bishops. Yeah. So black plays b6. Yeah, because probably it's not the best idea to develop the bishop on this diagonal. So knight c3. Bishop b7, knight f3. Yeah, so now it's time to develop the knight on b8. Yeah, I don't think that we have to think about knight a6 in this position, so probably two main moves would be knight d7 and knight c6. Yeah, so
Yes,
let's think where would be a better position for the knight.
and knights are usually better in the center because they have more places to attack, but when it's in the side, it has less places. And it could also get trapped when it's in the side.
Yes, of course. So let's think what is more important for black in this position, to play knight c6 and block the pawn, or not to block the pawn, play knight d7 and just be able to play c5 in the future. So Tara, what do you think? Knight c6 or knight d7? Which move would be better?
I think knight to d7.
Yeah, you're right. So it's a typical place where you can develop your knight, especially if you play closed openings, yeah? Because usually we want to move this pawn, yeah? So that's why knight goes to d7. So finally it's time to castle to put the king in safe. So white castles and black does the same. Okay, so we're close to finish development. Yeah, I hope that everyone remembers that development is finished when our rooks are connected. So if white just plays queen e2 in this position, yeah, we can say the development is finished. But instead of doing this, probably it's time to think about your plan. It's a common mistake when beginners don't know what to do when the opening is finished, yeah, and like position is close to the middle game. You finished your development and it's difficult to find a plan. So as I said before, white has two strong bishops in this position. So probably, yeah, we have a plan where we can try to start an attack. Probably we're gonna play at the king side. I don't think that we have to change position of the bishops. They are on very good positions. This knight is already at the king side, so maybe knight on c3 can't help us if we start an attack. So if you don't know what to do, try to improve position of your pieces, right? So how can we move the knight to the king side from c3? So let's think together. Yeah, we can't play knight e4, yeah, because we just lose the knight. So probably we have to play knight e2. But what can we do with this knight after? So I don't think that it would be good to have a knight on e2 for a long time. So where can we move it after playing knight e2? What do you think, Tara?
I think knight to g3.
Yeah, of course, it's a very good place for the knight. Yeah, and you will see what later we can do with it. So yeah, we are ready to spend two moves in this position to improve position of the knight, but it's important. And also we open diagonal for the dark square bishop. Yeah. Probably if white has a plan to start an attack at the king side, yeah, black has a plan to play at the queen side. And you see how important was not to block c pawn and not to develop the knight to c6, yeah? So now black plays c5. So knight g3, yeah, queen goes to c7. Of course, we can play queen e2, yeah, and connect our rooks. Or we can think how we can improve position for one of the knights. So maybe we can find a good place for the knight on f3.
Maybe you can move the knight to e5.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
is an outpost.
So knight on e5 looks like a good e5 looks like a good position for the knight, yeah. And probably here we have to start our calculations. I don't think that black would be happy if we have a knight on e5, yeah. So it looks like a strong knight in this position. So the first thing we should think about is what happens if knight captures. In this position, we have a choice to take with a bishop or to take with a pawn. Probably each of the moves have some pluses. So if we capture with a pawn, we open up the file for the rook, and maybe later we can try to attack the pawn on f7, yeah, and we attack the knight. But if we capture with a pawn, diagonal for the bishop is blocked. So at this point, maybe it's a little bit better for us to capture with a bishop, yeah, and keep diagonal open. But now we have to think, would it be good for black to play bishop d6? So it's the first move we should think about. So what happens now? If we trade bishops, it's not good for us. Yeah, we would like to save it. If we move the bishop back, it looks like wasting of time. Yeah, so what can we do with this bishop?
Maybe we can try taking the knight on f6,
Yeah,
trying to
interesting.
open up the king.
Yeah, so this is the reason of this exchange. We just open position of the black king, yeah, so and the king side looks destroyed a little. Okay, but how can we improve this position? So maybe we have a good check for the king. So this file
We
looks
can
okay.
move our queen to g4.
Yeah, of course. So we play queen g4. King goes to h8. And in this position, white has a very good move. So let's think together how we can improve attack. It's kind of double attack in this position. So probably we have to use this bishop. Yeah, it's attacking the pawn on h7. I don't think that if we sacrifice the bishop, we're going to get any advantage. So maybe it's time to move the queen and attack h7 pawn. So let's think what moves do we have. So we can play queen h3, queen h5, and queen h4. Yeah, so we have 3 moves. Which of these moves would be the best? So what do you think, Tara?
I think queen to h4.
Interesting. So Tara wants to play queen to h4, but I'm just curious what happens if we play queen h5. Yeah, so I attack the pawn. Yeah, how can black protect h7 in this position? What can black do?
They can move their pawn. They can move their pawn to f4 to f5.
F5, yeah, and block the diagonal for the bishop. Yeah, and to be honest, I don't think how I can improve my attack. Even if I try to sacrifice the knight, yeah, it's very good that now the queen can protect the pawn. Yeah, so just playing f6 would be enough to protect h7. And I'm not sure that I have like real compensation for the sacrificed piece. Yeah, so that's why queen h5 is not the best idea in this position. Yeah, and Tara was absolutely right when she said that she wants to play queen h4 because it's a double attack. We also want to get to f6, and now you will see the difference between these moves, queen h5 and queen h4. So now when pawn moves to f5, we have a very good opportunity. We just move the queen to f6, king g8, yeah, and how can we improve this position? How can we improve the attack?
The point of this attack for white was to get their pieces closer to the king. So if we play knight to h5, we have a checkmate bet.
Yeah, so the only thing that black can do in this position is probably bishop e5. Queen captures c5, yeah, to sacrifice the queen, but of course, in a position like this, the best way is just to resign. Yeah. So it was a nice variation that could happen, but it wasn't happening in the game because, of course, the game was played between two strong and high level chess players. So that's why in the game, black didn't play bishop d6. But as I said in previous videos, it's very important to think about all possibilities for yourself and also for your opponent. So if black could play bishop d6 in this position, yeah, I don't think that white would get any advantage. Yeah. So you know that bishop d6 would be a mistake. That's why queen c6 was played. Okay. So also one common mistake when someone starts an attack is just to be concentrated on the attack and don't think about plans of opponent and some counter chances for your opponent. So I don't like that black controls this diagonal. Yeah, I don't want to be checkmated on g2 in this position. So I think that it's important just to protect the pawn and make sure that there is no checkmate. So that's why queen e2 was played in the game. g2 is protected. Good for us. Yeah, and black entered a6. Yeah, so probably black had a plan to play b5. Okay, now let's think how we can improve position at the king side. How can we improve attack for the black king? Usually knights at the king side, yeah, especially knights on f6 and f3, are pretty good defenders of position of the king. So I think it would be good for white to trade this knight. But let's discuss together Is it the right way to trade the bishop to a knight? So do we want to lose this bishop, or it's better to save it on the chessboard?
I think it's better to save the bishop because it's important in attack.
Yeah, of course. Without this bishop, it would be difficult to make problems for the king. Yeah. So, okay. In the game, White found a very nice idea how to trade this knight. So, what ideas do you have, Tara, if we want to
An
save the bishop?
important part of attacking is knowing how you can remove defenders, the key defenders of the king. So you can play knight to h5.
Yeah, so this bishop is important for us. So of course we just play knight h5, yeah? So probably when Lasker moved the knight from the queen side to the king side, maybe he kept this idea in his mind. So knight goes to h5. In this position, I think it's not so easy for black to protect the king, yeah? But of course, black shouldn't capture the knight. Maybe just like, I don't know, doing something else, maybe just even playing d4 would be a little bit better for black. Yeah, but in the game, knight takes h5 was played. And of course, the first thing that we we would see is just to capture the knight, yeah? And of course, we have to think about this possibility. But if you think that the move is obvious, don't hurry up. In each position, you have to take your time and think about different possibilities to find candidate moves. Yeah, so probably queen captures h5 is not the best plan. I think that maybe if black plays f5 and block diagonal for the light square bishop, it's difficult for white to make problems for the king. So let's think what else can we do instead of taking the knight.
And an important thing that I learned is when you see a good move, look for a better one.
Yeah. By
This
the way,
move
I'm
is
sorry for interrupting you. By the way, I think that Lasker said this. So Lasker's game, and yeah, so his plan about finding the best move.
so we can play bishop takes h7.
Oh, nice. Okay. What would we do after this?
Now we can take the knight.
Yeah, okay. King goes to g8. So what can we do in this position? What if we try to leave the rook to the third rank? Do we have time for this or we don't have time?
I don't think we have time.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have time for the rook lift, but here we want to destroy the position of black's king. So here the correct move in the game was bishop takes g7.
Oh, so you mean these are Horwitz bishops, yeah? So two bishops that destroy position of the king. Yeah, so we are ready to sacrifice two bishops. Yeah. Okay, so probably black has to take. Yeah. Oh, I know. Now it's time to leave the rook, right? Or it's not.
I don't think it's not yet.
But
It's
why? What
not yet.
happens if I play rook f3? I want to play rook g3 and mate the king. Or somehow black can escape. What do you think?
Somehow black can escape.
Yeah, so probably rook g8. Yeah, so as you can see, white can get this rook. Yeah, white gets the rook back. But black has two bishops for the rook and two pawns. So we can't say that this position is like clearly winning for white. Yeah, so that's why also try to memorize this plan when you have an attack. So the king shouldn't be able to escape. Yes, so we want the king to move to the side of the chessboard, probably to h file. So what can we do for this?
And the way that we can do that is we can move our queen to g4
Yeah,
and
of
we'll
course.
see.
Oh, what happens if king moves to f6?
If the king moves to f6, there'll be a checkmate.
Queen
Queen to
d5.
g5.
Yeah, it's a checkmate. Yeah, so in the game, Bauer played king h7. So are we ready to leave the rook?
Now we're ready.
Yeah, so now we play rook f3. The king can't escape, and the only way to avoid mate is to lose the queen. Yeah. So e5, rook h3, rook goes to h6. Probably in this position, white can't mate the king. Yeah, so that's why Lasker just took the queen. Yeah. But if you have a look at the chessboard, you will see that probably black has too many pieces for the queen, a rook and two bishops. So in this position, probably would be nice for us to get some material back. So what can we do for white? How can we play?
This move is a double attack, and this move would be queen to d7.
Yeah, you're right. So now we get one of the bishops back. Yeah, so as I remember in the game was played bishop f6, queen captures b7, and probably very soon in several moves Lasker won the game. Yeah, so nice example of Horwitz bishops, and I hope that maybe for someone it would be very useful in the game.
Yes, and I also think that what we can learn from this game is how important it is that your pieces can work together. Because when your pieces work together, you can create a plan or checkmating plan like White did here.
Yes, of course. So, and don't forget to improve position of your pieces.
Yes. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video to others. And I'll see you on my next video. Bye!
Bye!